And hello again, everybody. Tom Cardella here till 3, and we have a very pleasant surprise. With us on the conference line is that great Hall of Fame catcher with the Brooklyn Dodgers, Roy Campanella. Campy, thanks for spending some time with us this afternoon.
Oh, very good. I enjoyed it.
Campy, you are a native Philadelphian, a graduate of Simon Gratz, isn't that right?
Yes.
And can you talk a little bit with us about how Branch Rickey brought you to the big leagues?
Well, it's a funny story. I was playing on an all-star team, a Negro all-star team in Newark, New Jersey, at Rupert Stadium on a Friday night. Jackie Robinson was on that team. And the manager of the all-star team we were playing against was managed by Charlie Dressen, then a coach of the Brooklyn Dodgers. And in between innings one night, he asked me, could he talk to me after the game? And I told him sure. And after the game, he asked me, could I come over to the Dodger office that Saturday morning at 10 o'clock in Brooklyn? Now, that was the first I ever heard of anybody scouting me or going to the Dodgers. So I went over there and met with Mr. Rickey. Now, that was the beginning of it. But Jackie Robinson had told me the day before he was over there and signed an agreement with Montreal Royals, then a AAA farm club of the Dodgers.
When you played on the same team with Jackie Robinson and at the time pioneers in breaking the color line in Major League Baseball, but you had kind of a different approach to dealing with the racism on the baseball field. Did you and Jackie come to an understanding that you were two different individuals with two different approaches to dealing with that kind of thing?
Not at that time, because it wasn't different. Jackie had gone to UCLA where it was not segregated or anything. And I had always played and went to school up at Gillespie Junior High and East Apaka Elementary School and Simon Gratz. And our schools were never segregated.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't realize all the segregation that was about at that time. My goodness, I was 15 years old the first time I played in the Negro National League with the Baltimore Elite Giants in 1937.
When you came to the big leagues and you saw the kind of reaction that you and Jackie had from some of the other players, particularly on the opposing teams. In fact, I think the Phillies were one of the toughest teams to play against in terms of the racism of those years. How did you handle that? How did you adjust to it and go about your business and become the great catcher that you became?
Oh, you just went on and played ball and disregarded the remarks that you heard. And against the Phillies, it wasn't that bad. Oh, yes, Ben Chapman, the manager, taking them in.
That's who I was referring to.
That's all it was. Normally the players, some of the players with Robin Roberts, Adele Ennis, and Richie Ashburn, Eddie Wakis, Grammy Hamner, with Willie Jones, all these fellows were very nice.
Roy, you won 3 MVPs during your great career, and it seemed as if following your MVP year, your stats dropped way off, and then you'd come back and have another great year. What was the reason? Was it injuries that bothered you after those MVP seasons? Why was it alternating seasons? Campy was always at the top of the heap.
Catching every day. You get unfortunate sometimes and get hit with foul tips, and the Dodgers had a lot of fastball pitches, and my goodness, my left hand would stay sore. But I always caught with a sponge in my glove, and just a lot of days you couldn't hold your bat right. That's all. Just from injuries. But if you look back and see the number of games I caught those years, it was the same amount as I would the year before. I caught over 100 games, and it was only a 154 game season. I think I did that every year I was in the majors, with the exception of 48. Well, I didn't come up till July.
Why is it, Roy, that you don't see catchers catch doubleheaders today? It's a rarity. In fact, a lot of them get day games following a night game off. Are we babying some of today's players, or?
Well, and you see a lot of right hand, left hand switches too from pitch, because when you get an outstanding player, if he can play, he hits anybody and he plays against anybody. Stan Musial, they didn't take him out against left-hand pitchers, and he hit left-handers, right-handers, or any-handers. So did, Ashburn played against everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Del Ennis.
Why?
All the fellows on our team did. We didn't take Duke Snyder out because the left-hander was pitching.
Of course, with the right-handed lineup you guys had, Duke was lucky enough not to have to face too many left-handers.
That's right. We didn't. If we would face 3 or 4 left-hand pitchers a season, that was a lot.
Why is it that it's so difficult? You look around today, and except for maybe Bob Boone and Carlin Fisk, really there are no outstanding catchers around today. Why is it that there seems to be such a dearth of great catchers today?
Dodger's got a good catcher. Sosa's a good catcher.
And he's a local boy, too. I'm glad you mentioned him.
Well, I work with him quite a bit. I'm still a coach with the Dodgers. And I work with all the catchers. But we have about 12 young catchers in our farm system. And nowadays they're one-hand catchers. And they sit and reach out so much for pitches. That's why so many balls get by. They don't just take a step out and get down and block the ball. But this is something of the past. They just don't do it anymore. The catcher's bits today are made for one-hand catchers. And they catch with one hand.
What is the reason why the stolen base situation? For a while there, all kinds of records were being broken. Once Maury Wills broke the record, and we had Lou Brock and Ricky Henderson and some great base stealers, Vince Coleman of the Cardinals. And now, this year, it seems as if the stolen base statistics are way off again. It kind of runs in cycles the way the home run ball is, doesn't it, in baseball?
Yes, true. But still, if a pitcher knows how to hold a man on, there's no man that can outrun a baseball. It's impossible. But the ball has to be handled right. There's a lot of catchers can't throw straight. On pitch outs, you see men stealing second base. Should be impossible. But the catcher makes bad throws, and the pitcher doesn't hold the man on right. A lot of it today is some of the pitchers are so young, they just don't know how. And even some of the older ones have never learned how.
Roy, before we let you go, and we're speaking to Roy Campanella, the great Hall of Fame catcher with the Brooklyn Dodgers, what would you consider the big highlight of your career?
Number one, putting on the Dodger uniform. I never had the slightest idea I'd ever play in the major leagues. And two, after I did play with the Dodgers, accomplishing enough to be put into baseball's Hall of Fame, to have them play a game in tribute to me in L.A. here, and the largest crowd in attendance at an exhibition game, 93,103 people paid to see that. And that was such an honor that I'll never forget. turned the lights out in the fifth inning, and everybody lit a match or a lighter. And it was beautiful in the Coliseum that night.
Well, anybody that ever saw Roy Campanella play will never forget the tremendous career that you had, Roy. And we had Carl Erskine on a little while back after Carl Ferrillo passed away, and he also spoke about you and paid you such a glowing tribute as a great teammate. And the boys of summer remain, I think, very special to not only to me, but a lot of people all over the country who value Major League Baseball. I just want to tell you what an honor it was to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. And those group of fellows I played with, the Dodgers couldn't have picked anyone better than Duke Snyder, Ferrillo, Hodges, Jackie Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, Billy Cox. What a group that was.
Roy Campanella, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.